couple of weeks ago, we talked about WWDC, the launch of the M2. The new MacBook Air is now available to order. Shipping times are already slipping. Apparently, it takes about a month to get one now. The new MacBook Pro with the M2 chips in. But I did want to highlight this sort of controversy that apparently sprung up after the M2 MacBook Pro was released, and the YouTube guys went out and started doing their benchmarking and whatever. And I think it's a highlight of the issue with social media and picking clickbaity headlines to drive traffic. And this story was like a really great example of how it can do a massive disservice to the public who doesn't know any better. They're trying to get information on, what's the best version of this should I buy, or should I wait for should I buy the Pro, or should I wait for the Air to come out a couple of weeks later? And so in the nutshell, it was a couple of things. The big one was about the SSDs in the base model 13-inch MacBook Pro were half the speed of the previous generation of the M1, and tangential to that, there was the M2 was apparently running too hot and blasting the fans out under certain load conditions, and it was all. What I thought was interesting was that it was done by a channel that I watch a lot. I won't name them, but I do watch them a lot. They're actually pretty good most of the time, and they actually copped a bit of heat on this from not only other YouTubers, but also just the general media and also reactions, because they overplayed it. When you're putting titles on like why the M2 has failed, serious overheating issues with the new M2, all that sort of stuff, like immediately you're going to be drawn to a title like that, and it could skew your perception of what product to buy if you're in the market for buying one of these things. And they're great machines. Nothing's changed. Like if you think of compared to an Intel Mac, it smokes it, not literally, but they're great machines. They'll do exactly what you need. And if you're buying the base model, you're not going to be editing 8K projects on the go. You're likely to be using it for email, internet, web browsing, documents, all that sort of stuff, which for the M2 is like the M1 before it, is overkill for those types of tasks and will definitely not kill the machine. And I was annoyed by it because, and I appreciate the irony that we're producing content right now at the moment too, but it's kind of a dilution of quality content when this happens, because you're being driven, the content creator in this case is being driven by an algorithm to generate clicks rather than providing the actual service to the public. So maybe they could have said that these things are an issue, but in a more moderate way, in context of how good the rest of it is.
Oh, look, I think this is probably the one thing that, modern media has taken from traditional media, which is the time-tested, protocol of if it's a slow news day, make it up. And they have made it up. They've made up a story that really doesn't matter. I mean, I guess conversely, the other way to go clickbait was, how lucky are you to be cutting 8K video on a $2,000 machine? So it's unbelievable that anyone would even attempt 8K video. If you'd told anyone that before, they wouldn't have believed it. So
it's that whole
pardon me. I think
it's that whole negativity bias that the algorithms are generating. And I just would have thought that if you're going to be doing some decent coverage of this sort of stuff as a YouTube content creator, in this case is subbing for a tech journalist, and really they should be providing the information of what, calling out legitimate things and all that sort of stuff, but not sensationalizing it to get more views.
Just remember, though, in traditional media, entertainment is allowed to do what it likes. It's not scientific. It's not journalism. It's just there for fun. And I don't agree. Like you, I don't agree with that sort of tactic, but that's what people do these days. And wow, doesn't it work?
I guess we might come back to that as a whole other topic on its own.